Ugh, what a life, huh? Everyone's out there buying toilet paper and hazmat suits and making quarantine TikToks and rocking legally mandated Antifa masks. Wow, life got weird real quick. Quick like 2 weeks quick. Quick like the US infection rate went from 2,000 to 132,000 real quick. Isn't that weird?
It's just a little weird, is all.
Doesn't that seem strange? I feel like this happened before. Maybe every major election year or so. Remember Ebola around the Obama era? Or swine flu? Bird flu? SARS in the Bush administration? Well, okay, to be fair, things didn't get this bad back then. At least, it didn't seem so prevalent. But then why are things so bad now? Is there something more sinister at play here? And what's the deal with fear-induced consumerism? I can't tell if it's a pandemic or Black Friday! But what's really going on out there, folks? And will a stimulus check really stop us from tasting some of that good old delicious, tender, greedy rich man flesh? Welcome. This is a new experimental series where I analyze narratives from around the world and in our daily lives. Today we're going to discuss mob mentality, mass hysteria, conspiracies, a pinch of capitalism, and a few drops of revolution. But I'm hoping by the end of it, we'll cook up a tasty understanding about the virus narrative. I'm sure by now you've seen this meme floating around about how every major election year comes with a new outbreak. This isn't entirely true, of course, it's just a meme, but it does touch at the heart of something spinning in the minds of younger generations. Someone is trying to kill us, obviously.
No, 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 no!
Oh, he's dead!
Millennials in particular have braved some serious trauma over the last couple of decades. The last 10 years alone have given us at least 5 major outbreaks from Ebola, MERS-CoV, bird flu, swine flu, Ebola again, Zika, and now another coronavirus. Not to mention the nationwide outbreaks of E. coli and Salmonella and the like, and you start to get the picture. The best thing you can do right now is to go out and buy all the toilet paper and hand sanitizer, and then sell them off to the highest bidders. Well, maybe not. When faced with the invisible enemy, the public tends to stockpile supplies to prepare for an inevitable collapse. We saw it happen during World War II and the Cold War. The first things to go are non-perishable foods, weapons and ammo, toilet paper. This of course causes mass hysteria as peers see each other panic buy and fortify their homesteads. The tension builds in the air as the paranoia sets in. Anyone could be carrying the disease. Your neighbor might really be plotting your defeat. Again, maybe not. But you just saw your neighbor's kid cough without covering her mouth, so you just better not take the chance. Maybe it's better not to think of this as a conspiracy. You might say it's more of a fight or flight response.
Our community is struggling. My husband is on unemployment for the first time in our life. We have employees. We have paychecks to issue.
We're tired of not being able to buy the things that we need, go to the hairdressers, get our hair done.
Boy, they sure look confident walking in crowds like that. They must got that good data. The current global population is 7.8 billion people. In China, the population is just under 1.4 billion. The number of infected individuals is a little over 82,000. The number of deaths are just under 3,400. In the US, the population is roughly 331 million. The infected are just below 610,000. And the death toll is currently 26,000. Okay, those are big numbers, but they're not too bad. Things aren't... Hold on a second. Let me just check the dates on that. Shuffle papers. Oh. It's never really been about the population itself, but instead the increasing rate of infection over just a few weeks. I had to rewrite this part like 4 times. Let's take a moment of silence, please? Well, that sucks for us millennials. I think after the school shootings like once a month and maybe 3 or 4 wars ongoing and an actual real life version of the game by, I don't know, Hasbro, Pandemic, millennials and Gen Z just kind of became a little numb to a lot of things. Imagine being born 15 years ago, just aware enough to notice everyone talking about the new disease sweeping the nation every 2 years. You'd probably get sick of hearing about it and would eventually stop taking it seriously. Hell, if you were at least born in the 90s, you've seen terrorism and war, mass shootings just about everywhere, the rise of racism, and it's all sensationalized and shared across every accessible media platform. Couple that with some hardcore consumerism subliminally hammered into our entertainment, and anyone is bound to get a bit, disillusioned? From the fear-mongering by our government and media, to the companies, lobbyists, and politicians pushing commodities over health, to the scores of blockbuster games and movies using those narratives to sell us fantasies, how can anyone take anything seriously? Everything seems so important and not important at all. So, naturally, when a real disaster hits, we don't know what to believe, or who to trust, or how to change.
Like, it's really messing up with my spring break. What is there to do here other than go to the bars or the beach, and they're closing all of it? It's really messing. I think they're blowing it way out of proportion.
Let me just... Okay. A lot of Americans want to believe young people just ignore the pandemic and that that's causing the massive increases in outbreaks. Okay, and there's a little something to that. But me personally, I've seen a lot more young people wearing masks and gloves than I've seen older people. And wait a minute, they've been alive a lot longer than we have. Long enough to see nukes, the Cold War, the Vietnam War, police bombings in Philadelphia, riots. You know what? Maybe they're a little numb too. Did I say millennials earlier? Because I should have said boomers and Gen X. Yeah, young people are scared enough to stay home, but these old heads are stupid enough to gather en masse to show off their patriotism, protest. Their right for freedom. You know, freedom from living, freedom from being healthy.
I didn't plan for a pandemic. I never put money away for the rainy day. We are opening.
Why do they do this? We'll find out in part 2. So while the old man shakes his stick at us, most of us head to work because, by the way, we're essential workers. Funny how being called the villain and a hero doesn't pay the bills. We could, say, vocalize our frustrations at being forced to risk ourselves for someone else's capital, or face a lack of personal income. Stop pretending cashiers and service workers are being selfless. In reality, they're terrified to lose their income if they stay home and protect their families. They're being held hostage by capitalism. Don't romanticize it. But then we get people like this. Lamau, they're being held hostage by capitalism. Take the out of your and get to work.
Do none of you like eating? The grocery stores will be empty in a couple days. How exactly are you planning to feed yourselves even if you are getting paid to not work? How many of you know how to grow, hunt, or forage for food? Exactly. People do not think. They just want a free ride, free whatever, whenever they can get it. They don't think it through like the consequences of their decisions.
Say the address of your safe spaces and we will gladly send you a bag of complimentary Crappuccino flavored dildos and tissues to dry your tears. Over the last couple of weeks, we've been watching older folks panic buy and younger kids excessively tempt fate, while we hero all over your stores. Not that the owners would pay us enough for that title. But we also see very misguided folks just looking for someone to blame. For some, the easiest answer becomes the only answer, and the loudest voices become the only voices. And that's what really bothers me about the virus narrative. It's not always about preventing the spread of infection or maintaining the economy. More than anything, it's a narrative of fear.